Good morning, this is Jerry Zremski from the Buffalo News Washington Bureau. It's Monday, and that means it's time once again for me to tell you what the week ahead is going to look like in terms of the news from the nation's capital and what it means for Buffalo, New York. Well, for me, once again this week, my top priority is going to be covering stories regarding the Niagara Falls Air Reserve Station and the Air National Guard unit that's based there. As you may well know, the Pentagon proposed 2 months ago to close that unit, but last week the House Armed Services Committee passed a bill that would really give that unit at least one more year of life. Well, that bill will come before the House floor this week, and it's something I'm going to have to cover because there may indeed be some problems with this bill. And the reason for that is that the House Republicans, writ large, above and beyond the issue regarding the Niagara base, added a lot of money to this legislation, more than the President had requested for defense in fiscal 2013. And for that reason, the Pentagon is objecting to the legislation. Some senators are objecting, and that means that when the bill goes to the Senate, there could be problems with the House approach. And if perchance the two houses were to pass a bill that was very similar to the House bill, it could come to have problems when it comes before the President as well. So I'm going to be having to check all of that out and writing a story about that, and I'll be doing that at some point this week once the bill comes to the floor. But of course, that's not all I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be paying a little bit more attention this week and in the coming weeks to the congressional primary for the Republican nomination to face Democrat Kathy Hochul in the fall. That primary is on June 26th, and it pits former Erie County Executive Chris Collins against Iraq War veteran David Bellavia. I have a couple of story ideas regarding this race that I'm going to be taking a look at this week. As is often the case with news stories, we get ideas, we get tips, we hear about things, we think about things, and then we reporters go out and report them and determine whether or not they're stories and what kind of a story it is and what kind of play it deserves in the paper. So I've got a couple of ideas about this race that I do want to report and check out just to see how they turn out. If they turn out as the way I suspect they will, they'll be very interesting and important stories in this race. Beyond that, I'm checking out a story about a land purchase that the Seneca Nation of Indians has made. Now, this may or may not be an important story, and I'm looking at it from a federal angle because the Bureau of Indian Affairs and the Department of Interior apparently was involved in some way regarding this land purchase. As you can tell, I don't know very much about this yet, which means I've got a lot of reporting to do, and I do plan to do that, and we'll see if that turns into a story. So those are my top priorities for this week. Of course, that could change in a moment depending on whatever news breaks here in the nation's capital, as often happens. But in any case, it's shaping up as a busy week, and I hope you'll be reading my stories, and I hope you'll turn in next Monday for my next update. Thanks, and have a good week.